Meantime, let's check in with KRQE News 13 anchor Elizabeth Alvarez, who has more of this morning's local headlines. Hi, Elizabeth.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to you at home. Yes, let's talk about what is happening here in New Mexico. I can tell you that a drunk driver who killed a 2-year-old Albuquerque boy has taken a plea deal. Griego Salas was driving on Coors Boulevard last August when he crashed into the back of this vehicle carrying 2-year-old Vicente Griego. Now, Salas apparently drove off and hit another car before he was caught. Well, little Vicente was badly hurt and died a week later after being taken off of life support. Well, yesterday, Salas pleaded no contest to DWI vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of an accident. Vicente's family does not want other families to suffer the pain they still feel.
It should have never happened. This is a preventable crime, so please don't drink and drive, please.
Salas faces up to 6 years in prison when he's sentenced in a couple of weeks. A former Albuquerque firefighter who admits he worked for the Mexican drug cartel is headed to prison. Steve Chavez cut a deal in court yesterday. He'll now have to pay back $182,000 and spend at least 2 years in prison. Chavez pleaded guilty to one of the 29 counts he was facing, and he admitted that he tried to hide nearly 200 grand for the Sinaloa drug cartel. 10 other people in the case have already pled guilty. There could be some budget cuts on the horizon for Albuquerque Public Schools, and that could lead to some schools closing down. Despite the projected $3 million surplus in the district's budget, Superintendent Winston Brooks is still talking budget cuts. Brooks says the surplus may sound like a lot, but he says it is not enough to make up for the $100 million and all the positions the district has lost since 2010.
We've trimmed and cut cell phones and take-home cars and travel and all that low-hanging fruit that always exists out there, and we're just to the point that we've picked all the fruit.
Brooks says smaller schools may be the first to go. Now, if it does happen, APS will lease the buildings to charter schools. Despite the possibility of some schools closing, the board has already approved 2 new schools. Governor Susana Martinez announces a program that will possibly help to identify potential high school dropouts. The program is expected to cost $500,000. The Public Education Department will track the reading proficiency rates of elementary school students and the truancy rates for middle and high school kids. Counselors will start getting those reports next school year. By the way, the statewide graduation rate last year was about 70%. And lastly, as you get ready for work or school today, how about putting on some blue or perhaps some green to support organ donation? It's Donate Life Blue and Green Day. At 11 this morning, you can find out more about donating organs, tissues, and a lot more at Civic Plaza in downtown Albuquerque. Right now, 117,000 people across the country are on a waiting list to get an organ, and 715 of them are right here in New Mexico. It's a great cause. And that wraps it up for your local Friday morning headlines. Be sure to catch Matt, Kristen, and myself every weekday morning on KRQE News 13, beginning at 4:30 a.m. All right, Nikki, Matt, going to send it back to you on this busy Friday morning.
Very busy one, but we have to say TGIF because what would a Friday be without that? Thanks, Elizabeth.